Hey, y'all. It's Juanita Coley, the founder of Solid Rock Consulting, where we help call centers implement technology, optimize the technology that they currently have in place, and build better workforce management teams. I want to welcome you to Call Center Chronicles. Call Center Chronicles is a place for CEOs, call center professionals, tech leaders, and yes, the customer, looking to have fun yet thought-provoking conversations around how we improve customer experiences and companies' bottom line. We are on a mission to normalize women in tech and workforce management leadership roles, and we believe that that starts with conversation. Welcome to Call Center Chronicles. Hey, guys, and welcome to Call Center Chronicles Season 2. That is right. We are in Season 2. My name is Juanita Coley. Again, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting, where we help contact centers implement technology, optimize the technology that they currently have in place, and build better workforce management teams. I'm super excited. Like, Season 1 was like here, and Season 2 is about to be here because, y'all just give me so much great content, and it's so many things to talk about as it relates to the world of contact centers, business just in general, people, the employee experience, the customer experience, how we merge the two and make sure that we're just delivering great products and services to the general public. So let me get the housekeeping out the way because you guys already know me, okay? Y'all know I start talking and then housekeeping don't get out of the way. So replay squad, if you're replaying this, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know you was here because I like to go back through the comments and read and see what your feedback was. Was you jiving with me? Was I making sense? Because y'all know I like to go from one thing to the next and, I'm working on it. Bear with me. Okay. So replay squad, thank you so much for tuning in. Those that are with us today in the audience, again, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you leave us a comment. Let me make sure my comments are on so I can see what's going on because this is not always the case. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it or not. But nevertheless, this is what happens when you do live shows. So what we're doing today, I wanted to do a little something different with Season 2. So with Season 2, there's always so much stuff that's happening. And I always think in the terms of contact center. Like, I don't know why. I don't know if it was because I was groomed in corporate, specifically in contact centers. Like that was my first job was in a contact center as an agent. And so every time I see things that are happening, I'm always thinking in terms of how does this impact the contact center, or what can we learn from the contact center on how to deliver better customer experience or employee experience or technology or whatever the case may be. And so with Season 2, I've been following some recent events, and so I wanted to hop right in to those recent events. So the first hot topic that I wanted to talk to you guys about was this Tabitha Brown and Wendy Williams situation. Okay, so for those of you that are not following this story or this, story, it makes it seem like it's this big development, right? It's because I'm extra like that. Anyway, so Tabitha Brown, which is, you see her everywhere. She's, an influencer. She's an actress. She's a comedian. She's, wonderful. Okay. Recently said that she was going to be retiring her husband because, they are financially at this place where she can retire her husband. And that's what she's going to do because that's her business. Right. So Wendy Williams, many of you probably know more about her. She's a talk show host. She has a talk show. Okay. And so Wendy Williams decided it was her business to chime in on this situation. And she, made her declarations about how she can see this going sideways, this marriage going sideways because you're taking away his identity, so forth and so on. I'm paraphrasing. If you want to watch Wendy Williams' show, then go and find the episode and you can see exactly what she said. But what caught me and how I how this resonated with me for the contact center, and I translated this back to the contact center. Before I tell you how, I'm going to play a small clip of what Tabitha's response was so you guys can see. I went straight call center mode on this. Okay, one moment. Let me share my screen. And if you can see, let me know that you can see in the chat, because, I'm still getting used to this whole production of a show. All right, I'm going to play this. First of all, y'all didn't hear this God bless you. We're going to stop right there. We're going to talk about this God bless you real quick. So Wendy Williams said what she said. Okay. And again, I encourage you to go and watch the show. Wendy Williams said what she said. And Tabitha Brown, her immediate response is, God bless you. Let's first start there. God bless you. I thought that was amazing. That's because my mind would have went somewhere completely to the other side. I'm working on that. So let's go back into this clip. We can see you. Come on, Tabitha. So what I got from this was such an amazing clip. And again, you can go back and watch this clip in its full. You can watch Wendy Williams. Okay. I encourage you, as a matter of fact, I encourage you to do that, to watch Wendy Williams' segment and then watch Tabitha Brown's segment on her response, her full response. And what I got from this was immediately when I heard Tabitha Brown's response, I immediately said, man, that is a direct reflection of her core values. Like all I heard was empathy. I heard compassion. I heard, explanation when they're even like she didn't need to give an explanation, but she did anyway. And that was a direct reflection of her core values. And I began to immediately think about the contact center and employees in the contact center, from agents to supervisors to directors to quality management and all of those different things, and how we relate to the customer. Right? When customers contact the call center, they're calling because they have a problem. They're calling because they have an issue. No one's calling the contact center because everything is going hunky-dory in their life. Like they're not calling because, hey, calling you because I have nothing else to do today, right? Like they're calling because they have an issue. And this is what Tabitha Brown, she was immediately able to identify in Wendy. Like you have an issue that actually does not have anything to do with me. And so instead of being extra, backlash, putting you in your air quote place, right? I'm going to respond with love. I'm going to respond with compassion. I'm going to bless you. Like that was so amazing. And I immediately, again, I think in terms of customer experience, contact center, and that's immediately what I heard. I thought that was absolutely amazing. What y'all think? Like, am I just, that's, again, that's what I got from the Tabitha Brown scenario. I can't wait to hear your feedback. Next hot topic that I have for you, okay, is the NCAA. Okay. So recently, this is the National Collegiate Athletes Association, NCAA. I have to break that thing down because I be saying the NAACP. I be saying everything. I be saying everything except for NCAA. Okay, so I have to say it slow and talk that thing out. Okay, so the NCAA just recently passed an update where the NIL policy, name, image, and likeness policy, allows for athletes to own their own likeliness, which means that they can profit off of it. For years, colleges have been profiting off of athletes, their likeliness, their name, their image, and all of that good stuff. And so now, for so many years, athletes have been basically leaving money on the table because they couldn't profit. That was against the rules. So now that this is a new regulation where I can own my likeliness, can you imagine? Can you imagine how many athletes will actually go pro because they actually want to be there? Like, not because I got to make it out the hood, or not because I have to. I'm going because I actually want to be in the NBA. I actually want to work for the NFL. I actually want to work for the major, whatever the baseball one is called. What is that? MBL or something like that. Anywho, you know what I'm saying, okay? How many athletes will actually be there because they actually want to work for that organization? So that just blew my mind. I think in a society right now, right, post-pandemic, so many companies are saying, oh, we're struggling to find employees. We can't keep our places staffed and blah, 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 blah. And I think one of those challenges is the reason that is because we're not being innovative when it comes to employee types, right? Like, companies that are saying, hey, you can be a contractor, you can be full-time, you can be, coming up with different type of employee types or work types will allow for people who are at your organization to be there because they want to be there and not because they necessarily have to be there. Right. And so I thought that was super awesome. I think so many athletes now, because they can make money off of their name, their image, their likeliness prior to them going pro. I wonder how many will we see a decline or incline in people that go to the league? What y'all think? These are just my thoughts. Like, I was thinking about these things. And again, I think in terms of contact center, customer experience. And I was thinking about the NCAA and how major of a development that is, and how now more and more athletes will probably opt to do something that they actually really enjoy and love doing because they can make money off of their name, their likeliness, and their image outside of actually going into full-on sports or as making that a career. These are the things that goes on in Juanita's mind. So those are our updates or our hot topics for today. I'm super excited for the guest that we have today, Dennese. She is amazing. So when I first started hearing her story, I was like, okay, I got to have you on the show because you know that season 2 is about the contact center and the theme is powered by. So the things that power the contact center, which are the people, it's the technology, it's the processes, it's all of those things. These are the things that power the contact center. And so when I heard her story, which I'm going to let her tell you more about, but when I heard her story, I was just like, how do you do all of this again? It made me feel like a slacker. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the show, Dennese. Dennese, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. I'm so nervous.
Don't be nervous. You done see me go to the interview screen, can't get Tabitha up, all these, girl, like, this is life, right? This is life. And I love it. I love just being able to learn, and constantly be in an environment of learning. And that's what I'm all about. So again, thank you so much for being with us here on the show today. I'm super excited to have you. I'm super excited. Okay, so let's hop right in. Tell us a little bit more about you, Dennese.
Ooh, where do I start? Mom, full-time employee, business owner. I
Uh-huh.
have two businesses
Uh.
and two kids, an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old. And stay busy.
Yeah, I can only
Yeah, more work,
imagine.
less sleep. So,
So tell us about so you say you work full time, you
yes,
have two businesses,
yes,
you have two children.
yes.
Okay. Tell us about one thing that I'm always interested in. So this is not uncommon, right? To work, have children, have businesses. I think more and more people are going into this, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to do something that I love and all of those things. What makes this interesting to me is the dynamics of your family environment. So tell us a little bit more about the dynamics of the children and how you manage day to day.
Um, so I have an 11-year-old that actually has ADHD, and then I have a 6-year-old that has, I guess, what they classify as severe autism, because he's not verbal. He's not where he should be verbally for his age. Um, and whew, it's a daily challenge trying
Mm.
to work in therapy and more therapy. Like right now, it's about 18 and a half hours a week of therapy
That's a whole
between,
part time job.
yes, yes,
Like,
speech, occupational, and behavioral therapy. So it's a lot.
and you have two businesses.
Yes.
What are your businesses?
So I have a yard. Some people call them yard signs or yard cards business, and then I have a 360 photo booth business.
Okay, and then
So
you work full time.
yes, luckily the photo booth business is mainly like a weekend thing. Most of all my events for that are like Friday nights, Saturdays, or Sundays. And then with the yard cards, I actually set them up like between the hours of 11 o'clock at night and like 3 o'clock in the morning. So
Wait,
they
go
don't
back,
necessarily interfere.
go back, go back. You when you do this,
Between like 11 p.m. and 3 o'clock a.m. is when I put out the yard signs. Because they're supposed to be like surprises for like whoever the sign was purchased for. So it's like you set it up overnight and they wake up that morning and it's just there.
that is
So,
crazy. So you're working full time. I just want to wrap my head around this.
yes,
So you're working full time,
yes.
and you're working in a contact center as a what? What's your
I'm
role?
a PIP examiner. Like I handle personal injury
Okay.
claims for auto accidents.
Okay. So you're that I'm sure we'll get into that conversation, but
Yes,
I'm sure that can be very involved, right? And you're doing that
yes,
full time. And then you
yes.
get off full time and then you have two children that do you classify them as special needs? Like is that a classification that you use?
Um, for my youngest son, he's classified as special needs, but not my oldest.
Okay.
So my youngest son, they do classify him as special needs, mainly because he's not verbal. He's not fully potty trained. He can't really do much of anything for himself for his age.
And how is that working full time? Like so again, I have three children and they're all older now. So I know what it is to work and have children. So I'm not lost in or just aloof when it comes to that.
Yes.
The dynamic that just kind of opens my eyes is like, so you're doing this full time with a child that, like you said, they really can't do too much for themselves. So in this COVID environment, right, where we are
Yes.
working from home, are you working from
Yes.
home?
Yes.
So you're working from home and you have a child that doesn't necessarily does he feed himself?
He can, depending on what it is. Like we just got it to the point where he's able to actually um grasp or hold like a spoon or fork the correct way without the food falling off. So generally, it's so weird because he's kind of self sufficient, but he kind of isn't. Like if he wants something and he can get it, if he can get a chair, anything to stand on, he'll go get it. And if
He
he
making
can't
it
open it
happen.
himself, he'll bring it to you.
And he'll make
And
it
that's how
happen.
we know, like, okay, this is what he wants. So, but he literally eats the same stuff. So we just have to keep what he likes in the house. But
And so,
he's getting used to me working from home, because I have my desk in my room. So if
uh
I close the door, he knows like, okay, I'm on a call, and he'll crack the door open and look. And if he sees me talking, he'll just close the door back slowly, and then like he'll keep peeking in or checking in to see if I'm off the phone. So it's getting better, because when COVID first hit, whew, it was real rough.
how
It
did you
was
adapt? Like, what was that adapting period, and how did your organization handle that adoption, period of, okay, we now have an employee who's working at home. Do they know you have a special needs son?
Yes, they do.
Okay,
So they
so
know that he has special needs. I, at first, it was kind of hard because we, like the company I worked for, we did not have any agents working from home at all, company wide. So it was like issues with like the systems and phones not working, systems not working, systems slow. So at first it was kind of hard, but I just had to like thank God for planners. But I just had to get a planner
wait.
and literally like plan my day, which his sleep schedule is, it helps with my job also, because normally he's up like between 2 3 o'clock in the morning, um and he'll stay up, and normally he'll go back to sleep like between 8 and 9 o'clock and sleep until like it's basically time for me to take him to therapy. Hence he sleep now because he was up at 1 o'clock this morning. So that helps sometimes too.
So, do you think that? I'm trying to think a good way to ask the question, because it just kind of popped in my head just now, so I ain't have it planned. But how do you think your company dealt with the whole transition to work at home staff, just in general? And then so answer that question. I'll come to the other question. How did your company deal with the whole transition to work at home
The
from an
whole
agent's
work,
perspective?
it was it was very unorganized. So we were actually, I believe, one of the last call centers to close. I actually was off the day that they shut the building down because someone tested positive for COVID. And they literally, like, my coworker texted me and she's like, hey, they're sending us home. They literally, like, told everybody, whatever phone call you're on, you have to end the phone call, pack up your lap. Like, we literally took desktops home.
How far
They sent people home.
into the pandemic was that? Like, were we a month into the pandemic? Were we 2 months?
Um,
We were almost through the pandemic.
it was the week of spring break. So it
So
was like the end of March.
March, yeah.
Yes, it was like the end. It was literally, yeah, it was literally like a couple days
So we were
before
well into
spring
the
break.
pandemic at that
Yes,
point. So
yes,
what my thoughts are around that, like, for it to be so abrupt, right? Like, hey, y'all got to get out the building, type of thing.
yes.
It's not like, hey, it's a pandemic happening. This is something that you already knew where it's
Right.
happening. How did that impact you as an employee? Like, your day-to-day routine, and like, how did that impact you with what you had going on?
Um, it kind of, I mean, I adapt to change well, especially working in the call center. We all know that nothing is set in stone. Like changes can happen every day. But I think what happened is my son, like, it was supposed to be spring break. They basically like sent out like a call or email saying, school was not going to be coming back after spring break, basically. So it was just trying to get him in the swing of now he's not going to be going to school,
Right.
and trying to get him on a schedule where he's actually going to be home and have to be in the house the 8 hours that I have to work.
Mm.
So it was rough. It was really rough at first, but eventually, like a year later or over a year later, I feel like now we're at a point where everything is okay.
And how do you like it? Like, are now that you're home and you kind of gotten into the swing of things, and things like that? Like, do you like working from home more? Is it more feasible with your son, the children, both of them? Is it more feasible? Is it something that you're like, nah, I need to get back to the office? Like, how is it?
I think it's more so like the interaction part of working in a call center. Outside of that, I am completely okay with working from home. You save money. And even though I don't live too far from my job, it's just a lot easier to work from home. Especially being that I guess it's still considered a call center, but I don't have like continuous inbound calls. Like I have my own personal, like direct line. So I literally only deal with the claims that are assigned to me.
Mm.
So either the policyholder, the policyholder's attorney, or whoever was injured. So I think that helps a lot more because I don't think if I had to handle like continuous phone calls, like where I had to keep my headset on all day, I don't think I would have lasted past like the first month being home. So it helps because I don't have to deal, as long as I do everything on my end paperwork wise, I don't really have to make or get that many phone calls in. So it helps.
So you said something that's really good. So one, post pandemic, being home, you are seeing that it seems like, just correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like you're saying like your workload has kind of decreased because you're getting a more direct type of work that you're having to handle.
Actually, working from home, I feel like I'm working harder working from home. Um, it was like one point, I basically when everything was shut down, it was like super easy. Like instead of working 8 to 4:30, I would normally have everything done like by maybe 11 or 12 because everything was shut down. So it wasn't really any accidents because people weren't really on the road. But now, like a lot of people have quit. A lot of people have started taking like leave.
Yeah.
So it's pushing claims that would normally be assigned to other people back on the people that are actually working. So it's a little bit harder. And then it doesn't help. Technically, I'm supposed to work 8 to 4:30, but with my son's therapies, Monday through Thursday, I only work from 8 until 1 because he has therapy from 1:30 to 5:30 Monday through Thursday. So,
What was it like getting that? Did you get an accommodation for that, or how did that transpire?
yes, they refer to it as like the Family Medical Leave Act, like
So
the
FMLA,
FML.
okay,
So I have that for him. So that helps a lot. The
okay,
only thing I think I don't necessarily agree with in regards to that is having to use like my vacation time that I've accrued. I feel like it should be up to the employee whether or not they want to be, unpaid or whether or not. I don't feel like I should be forced to use the vacation that I've earned for something that's approved anyways, if that makes sense.
right, right. Like it's the law. It's actually a law. So you're telling me I got to use I can see why you would feel that way for sure.
Yes. So,
Yeah, that's interesting. How do you think? How do you think you being at home or not? Do you think it has changed the way you work or the way you relate to customers?
it has. I think like the empathy part of working in a call center, it kind of kicks in because a lot of people are out of work. Um, a lot of people don't actually understand their auto policies. I don't know if it comes like pretty much like what it falls down to is what they have to pay out, like deductibles and things like that. So, people are saying, oh, they're out of work, they haven't worked due to COVID, or they just started back working, or they can't afford it. And then, like, you have empathy for what they're going through, but then again, like, it's your job. You just have to
Right.
follow the rules. So you just have to let them know, okay, this is what you would have to pay up front, or what you would have to pay out of pocket, and just go from there.
How you are. So I was reading this book, and I also heard someone say this as well one time before. And it's actually a core belief of mine. So, it's been resonating and ringing around for quite some time. But I heard someone say an employee will never treat the customer better than they are being treated. What do you think about that?
Um, I think that happens often.
She like, I wasn't
Yeah,
prepared.
yeah, that's kind of tricky, because I know sometimes, like, if you have a bad day, or if I'm having a bad day, sometimes it'll get kicked back on the customer, and then I'll have to, like, okay, it's not the customer's fault. Like, get it together behind the scenes. The customer doesn't know, like, they basically don't know what you're dealing with. We don't know necessarily what they're dealing with. Just try to be as nice as possible.
How do you do that? Like, how do you do that when you have, you know, so many things that's going on? You're working in a new environment. You have, you know, a special needs son, autistic son. All of these different things are happening. What do you pull on to say, nevertheless, the customer deserves great customer service?
Um, so on my computer desk, there's like I have two small cork boards, like, on the side of the computer screen. One has, like, my monthly bills, like, reminder, this is what has to be paid. So one has, like, my monthly bills, and then the other one has just, like, random, like, scriptures, or it's like labeled, basically. So, like, for anxiety, it has, like, a quote. For stress, it has a quote. For, like, I think probably the one I read the most is for anxiety, especially with dealing with injury claims. So it just has, like, a Bible scripture for each feeling, basically. So if you're in a bad mood, if you're sad, if you feel overwhelmed, so it just has, like, a quote, and then read it, and then it kind of just brings you back to where you
That's
need to be,
awesome.
so you can do your job.
I love, I love that you said, well, on one side I got my bills.
Yes,
Let's just
that's
be
first.
real.
Yes.
That's where I look first. And then the other place is where you pull your motivation. You pull, you kind of pull that inspiration from to say, okay, woosah, this is how I'm going to still bring out this excellent customer service, where you will never even know, that I had anything going on.
Right.
I think that is amazing. I think that is amazing because just naturally, right, we feel emotion. People just in general, whether it's women, men, whatever, we feel emotion. And so to be able to harness that emotional intelligence, I'm a big person on emotional intelligence, right? Yes. To be able to harness that, and then not only be able to control my emotions, but be able to interpret the emotions of the caller and deal with their anxiety, because like you said, you deal with injuries, right? To be able to empathize with them, right? On, hey, this is what's going on. I understand. And let's get through this together. I think that is amazing. I think that is amazing. That is awesome. Okay. So what's next? What do so you have these two businesses that you're running. What's your plan? Like, is this something that you want to expand on? And, at some point you can see yourself doing the businesses full time. And you're building your customer experience, you're building, like, what's the plan? What made you say, hey, I want to start a business?
Um, Actually, before these two businesses, I had a boutique, so
Okay.
that's where it started. Um, but I'm just trying to get, because I feel like if I was working, or if I am working for myself full time, I will be able to dedicate more time than what I'm currently dedicating to my kids. And I think that's probably because I work more than I sleep.
Mm,
But I actually just finished Bell's Bond School in December of last year.
nice.
So that's my plan. Is once I do actually leave my employer, it'll be after I finish I have to do a year internship
Hmm.
under like a Bell's Bonds agent or Bell's Bonds company first, before I can go through and start the process of what needs to be done to open like my own agency.
Hmm.
So I've actually always wanted to be either a corrections officer or a Bell's Bonds agent. So
Why?
here we
Like,
are.
what? Why? Like, you just woke up one day and was like, I think I want to bail people out.
I actually went to school. I probably should go back, but I went to school for criminal justice. I literally have 7 classes,
Wow.
and I would have been done. But I got pregnant with my youngest son, the 6 year old. And I ended up having him like super early. I had
Mm,
him at 26 weeks.
mm,
So it was just, I couldn't finish. It was just, it was just too much.
right.
So, but I was able to actually go back and do the courses that I needed to do for Bell's Bonds, which it actually was not that much training, or it wasn't that much that I had to do class wise, because they have you do that year internship under an actual company where you can do like hands on stuff. And then they basically like issue you a temporary license
Mm.
for that year. And then once that year is up, you'll do like a test through the state for a permanent Bell's Bonds license. So that's where we are.
How do you? So I remember when I was an employee, right? I was working at United Healthcare, and I actually loved working in corporate America. Like, that's my thing. Like, I was groomed there, so I know how to navigate those waters well, right? It's this entrepreneurship stuff that I'm still working on, right? But so I love corporate America, and I remember working at United Healthcare, and I felt this call to, like, hey, you love technology, you love helping businesses implement that technology and the process and all of those different things. And so I felt this call to, like, do it bigger on another scale. So Solid Rock Consulting is here, right? And and so that's how I kind of did that. But I remember thinking the whole time that I was at United Healthcare, not the whole time, but when I got this revelation that I needed to start Solid Rock, what are the skill sets that I'm going to need, and what skill sets can I leverage and transfer into business, right? And so when I think about kind of just hearing your story and your journey of, working full time, having the two businesses, having children, I immediately think about kind of how I was when I was at United Healthcare. I was on the hunt for new skills all the time. It's like, how do I communicate better? What reports can I pull? Supervisor, what can I do? Like, that was my thing. I was always looking for more work because I knew that those skill sets would translate in my business at some point in time. Do you think in those terms, or do you think that any of the skill sets that you are leveraging now you'll use in your business?
I definitely will, especially the customer service aspect of it. Speaking with people, um, like with my photo booth and my yard cart company, that's a lot of like communication, because you have to speak with the people to find out, what they want the sign to say, or, what type of event it is. So, like, customer services, I think that being able to speak in, like, I guess, empathize with people.
Mm-hmm.
That helps a lot. Like I just had with my photo booth business, a lady paid her retainer for a baby shower in July.
Mm-hmm.
And she reached out to me the on 4th of July, as a matter of fact, and she's like, she basically she understands she signed the contract saying the retainer was not refundable. So she wanted to know if it was possible. She's like, I don't know if someone maybe reached out to you and wanted to book your services but weren't able to afford it or whatever the case was, because she lost the baby.
Oh no.
So there's not going to be a baby shower. So she understood that the contract she signed said no refunds, but at that point it has to come down to like, it's like a moral thing. Like
Yeah.
I'm not, although she wants to put it toward, or like she told me I could do a giveaway. I told her no, like I'm not gonna do a giveaway. I'm not gonna give it to somebody else. So I basically just refunded her money, and she sent me like a long email the next day, yesterday, which was actually my birthday.
Happy
Just like
belated.
telling me, thank you. She was just basically telling me like thank you. She's like, out of all the vendors that she paid, like as far as the venue, the party planner, like basically no one else was willing to give her money back or even offered to give her money back. But I just think at some point I understand people have like policies and procedures in place,
Yeah.
but there's like a certain point where you have to draw the line. Like,
Yeah.
is this worth? Because she could have been one of those people that decided, hey, I'm going to go on Facebook or Twitter or whatever and blast this company because they're not giving me my money back. So it's just like
You hit on so many topics just then, right? Like morals, all right? Like just being able, and then also, I think in your own business, being empowered to make that decision.
Yes.
Like, hey, this is what we gonna do, right? That is amazing. Is that a skill set that you think you've been like with that level of customer service that you think you've been developing at your employer all this time, like to be able to identify, even though she didn't ask, right? She didn't ask for the refund, but you were able to hear the need without her even asking for the need.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
That is amazing.
Because I think my supervisor knows I'm going to push as far as I can go. I'm going to go. Like,
yeah.
If I'll go to my supervisor and it's like, hey, I know normally we don't do this, but this is the situation.
You don't want to always coming for the overrides.
Yes. Yes. So
here come Dennese again.
When I can. So,
we gonna have no money fooling around with Dennese. No.
Most of the time it's no, but I mean, hey, you don't know if you don't ask. So I like to ask.
That's awesome, because what you essentially have done is become a customer advocate, right? Like you're able to advocate on behalf of the customer because you know the landscape of what the policies and the procedures already are, and hey, I know this is a hard line in the sand versus this may have some wiggle room where the customer may not know that, right? So they may not even ask. Whereas you being inside of the company and understanding the company's policies, procedures, core values, mission, all of those different things, you can say, hey, can we move here? I think that's where great customer service comes from, is when our employees are equipped with the information that they need. They identify with our core values, the mission, all of those different things. Now they become not customer service reps, but customer advocates. Yes. Right. Like, because that's essentially what you did even in your own business with the young lady who had the baby shower that you were refunding. Right. Is basically you were an advocate for her in her particular situation. And I think that is amazing. So you have these transferable skills that you are learning and you are going to be leveraging in your business. What do you think is next for you? Because you already have 2 businesses, right? So what do you think is next for you now? Post-pandemic, we're coming out of this pandemic, and what do you have next?
I'm going to try to focus on my businesses and finishing or doing everything I need to do as far as bail bonds. I don't necessarily see myself staying with my employer past like maybe I've given myself like 12 months to see how the business part is going to go, how the bail bond part is going to go. And then I'll decide at that point, okay, hey, I'm going to go ahead and leave, or hey, I need to stay a little bit longer.
Have you already communicated that plan with your supervisor or the management team?
I've spoken to my supervisor about it, and she's like, just let us know what you decide to do. Like basically, like give notice, which is always good, just in case I need to ever come.
I was just playing.
In case I need to come back, but I've been there almost 6 years, so I've been there for a while.
Yeah, I think as it relates to that, like making that plan to the other question that I have for you. Now, this is a question that just kind of came in my head, so it's okay. One of the questions that I have for you is there anything, like with you being very entrepreneurial and creative and all of those different things, is there a role in your existing organization that you would, if they would allow or created that space, that you would be like, oh no, I got to stay here?
Yes, it would definitely probably have to be like in HR, dealing with like accommodations, like FML, stuff like that. Only because I kind of know
that's where you
how
at.
It feels to have to deal with or go through that. But that would definitely be if I decided to stay. If they offered me to take any position, it would definitely probably have to be one of those positions.
So have you
can't necessarily go sit down and talk to somebody about an accommodation for your kids when that person doesn't have children? So
that's a gem right there. Oh no, that's the mind blown. That's the mind blown. Sorry. So it still apply. Yes. But that's good, right? Like that's so good. Think about that. That's still customer service, right? If you are going to talk to someone about an accommodation and you can't even empathize with me or understand why I need an accommodation as an employee, you just pushing paperwork.
Basically,
that's you just pushing paperwork. So I can see why that would be a role that would be of interest to you. Have you expressed that? Have you like, hey, I want to work towards that? Or are you kind of in the mindset of I'm, working on my transition plan at this point?
Well, I know they had the position come open once before, but you have to have like a degree in, I want to say it was human resources. It was a certain type of degree that you had to have in order to even apply for that position. Okay. So, but if I were to, I don't really, the whole degree, I mean, I understand having a degree is important, but I feel like sometimes the experience that people has, that because you can put someone in the same position that I work currently that has a degree that's not going to do as well as I would being with the company for 6 years. So I think that's also something that businesses or companies should look into. Like, going to school and having a degree does not equate to the experience of actually working in the field.
That's good. That was a whole gem right there. Like, I'm with you on that. And I do, and I'm an advocate of, educating yourself in school. Like I'm always reading, like my books got books. I got so many books I'm always reading something. Like I'm always wanting to learn and grow. And so I'm right there. I believe in higher education. However, I also believe, like what you just said, I've met people with masters, PhDs, and I'm like, how is this possible? And so I don't think that supersedes experience and the willingness of a person to learn and apply themselves. So I think if you have somebody who's willing to learn, willing to apply themselves, like I didn't get a degree in technology, but I love technology. I'm always looking for new technology and the implementation process of going about rolling it out in contact centers, all of those different things. And I didn't get a degree in that at all, but I'm pretty dope when it comes to it. I'm just, if I do say so myself, And so I totally agree with you on that. I think a lot of companies are losing great talent to entrepreneurship because they are unwilling to look for people who have an interest in a particular thing, and they're willing to do the work. Now, if you're not willing to do the work, don't be wasting these people's time.
Right.
But if you're willing to do the work and learn and stretch yourself and apply yourself, then I think companies are losing a lot of great talent because they're unwilling to overlook the piece of paper.
Yeah.
You know. Now, there's some things we need that paper for. I don't want no doctor working on me that I don't.
Definitely.
I want the paper. That I won't. Yes. You know, but there are certain technical skills that I think that that shouldn't be a requirement. But
right.
You know, that's just my spiel on that. Anywho.
Yes.
I could talk about this forever with you, but I'm not going to hold you. I know that I think your son has gotten up, and I super appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you so much. Hang out with me in the green room. I'm going to wrap the show up, and then I'll head right over to you. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Wow. That was a show. Like, I'm super impressed by just everything Dennese has going on. I want to interview some more employees of contact centers because, again, this show is the heart of the contact center, and everything that Dennese has going on to still be able to be an advocate for the customer and know intimately the policies and the mission and the core values of the company that she's working for so that she can advocate on behalf of the customer while she still has all these other things that are going on, I think is amazing. And I think that speaks heavily likely to the organization that she works for and their mission and their core values and how they communicate that from top leadership all the way down. And I believe that Dennese is doing a fabulous job. So, guys, season 2, okay, is all about powered by. That is the theme. Powered by what, Juanita? Powered by the employees, powered by the processes, powered by the technology, all of those different things. So thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you see us here next week, same place, same time, and we have another great guest lined up for you. Send me some hot topics. Send me some stuff that y'all want to talk about and how we relate that back to the contact center. Again, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today on Call Center Chronicles, Season 2, Episode 1. See you soon. Bye.